So we're going to do some restorative bones today, and we're going to start with focus on inversions, which are helpful for the circulation to the lymph nodes. And this specific one is helpful to the circulation of the lymph nodes in the groins, right? And that definitely stimulates the immune system. So what I want you to have is a chair against a wall, a bolster. So the bolster is straight out from the chair, right? Lengthwise. It's going to be spine wise. And you're going to have a blanket behind you. It's very flat. Depending on your height, you're going to kind of play around with this, but you'll sit on the bolster. You'll swing your legs up to the chair. And as you lower back, I got the wall, but it's only for a moment. And then as you slide back, and actually you want your body to kind of cling to the bolster. It's like your back area is kind of hugging it. And it's so interesting for the spine strength and clearly the respiratory muscles. So let's add a sandbag across the ribs. If the sandbag is across, it can be helpful for that three-dimensional breath emphasis, which is basically expand out with each breath. So rest the legs on the chair. Explore the arms moving away. And there's always limitation, right, with your arm structure. But what's interesting is the connection into the chest, into the shoulders, with the movement of the arms. So give them some motion, whether you do cactus arms, try to let it be expansive for the first pose. If the arms are below the heart, down by the hips, it might be kind of more sleepy for you. So as the shoulders center back, let your eyes close and explore the movement of the breath. And as you feel that expansive, or actually for me, it's just a lift and lower, it's not really a spreading yet. Simply use that weight on the body as a trainer for your breathing muscles. So there's multiple forces occurring right now between the circulation in the legs, draining, and then the circulation in the breathing muscles. Okay, now slide the sand away. It'll be quite easeful. And when you bring your feet to the edge of the chair, try working with the feet touching the edge of the chair and the knees moving apart. So the feet are together, the soles of the feet are close, and the chair just kind of holds that pose up, right? It holds cobbler's pose. So if my feet are touching, it doesn't mean to be pushing deliberately. It might just be that they are merging together. And some of the soles of the foot touch. It might not be at the inside line of the big toe exactly, but we can feel that work into the ribs and then down, obviously conveniently to the groins, that lymph circulation. And feel if your feet stop pushing together. See if you can let the weight of the feet and the legs rest open. So there's less dependency on clinging the feet together. This one is a lesson in impermanence, I find. Like, okay, well, I have the idea of the feet together now, I'm losing it. So the inner leg, around the surface of the hip, groin, becomes a little stronger, a little more fluid. And you can come out anytime if you find, oh, this is just really difficult on my legs, they're shaking. Well, what's your opportunity here? It would be to bring the knees to center, straight up, and let the legs go straight up. So let's all meet there with the legs lifting so that we can really flush out all the way down through the thighs into the top of the hip. A few more moments with the bolster like this. If the legs are kind of moving back over the abdomen, feel if you can keep them in a straight lifted pattern, verticality. And then as you bend through the legs, bring the feet down to touch to the chair. Make sure they actually can touch and also have an ability to push. All right. So leave the blanket as is. Some of you might even pass on the blanket for some of these or slide it back, but have that stay if you're going to keep it. And then what you'll do is you'll use this direction of pushing into the feet, and you'll let the weight move back in towards your upper back. And be a little careful about this. As you lift the hips, you're going to reach for the bolster, turn it across so it's horizontal, and scoot it up so it's really holding your lower back. It feels kind of nice now to have that support across. So anything that was narrowing in the last few moments now is smoothing out. And I want you to get the ball, bring it to the space between the knees. You might need to squeeze your knees to your chest to get that access. But once that ball is there, focus on the breath squeeze. So we're inhaling with the abdomen relaxing, and then we're exhaling, squeezing into the ball. So alternate the pattern of inhale, relax the grip on the ball, belly expands, just like the ball. I mean, it doesn't really expand, you're not going into the ball. But when you exhale, you squeeze in and the abdomen relaxes towards the spine. So just a couple more of those, but noticing that movement of the torso, the lower torso, and then that pressure into the ball, and that direct contact in the leg muscles, even though they're tensing, they're tensifying the motion. So last time, whether you're directing the breath accurately or not, I want you to feel when you push your feet into the chair that you're going to lift your hips up so they're a little bit above the bolster now. And you certainly can go with or without your blanket. If you're feeling like this is causing too much flexion, slide it out, but let the arms reach back overhead. The nice thing about this is the bolster is so close. So when you lower back down, you're trying to get this, move the hips far down to the bolster and lower down the arms, touching the bolster. Scoot your hips up on the bolster. Make sure that you're completely on there. And the next time you lift up, try to hold the sides of the bolster so you don't slip farther back. So your shoulders stay pressing down. Lift the hips up. Okay, you might be clutching the bolster. You might hold the little handles. And then lower down. So you anchor into the pelvis. One more time, push into the chair to lift the hips up. This is such a good one for our core. And lower down. Because it's so good, we'll do one more. So press down, lift the hips up. See if you can manage that hold. So this is not moving the arms back overhead version. It's pressing down into the feet, but also the upper back, right into the shoulders. Okay, now as you lower down, we'll bring the knees to the chest. Move the ball aside and then cross the right foot up to the left knee, bring the left foot to the chair seat. And working with this reclining pigeon pose, see if you can stay with the version that is comfortable for you. So for some of us, we'll let the arms relax back to cactus and let the left foot stay on the chair. Some of us might relax the left calf on the chair and feel if that helps open the hip. And they're both pretty good. And then there's some of us that will pull the leg in towards the chest and get a hold of it with our hands and squeeze. There is a little more stretch on that one. But I kind of like each of them for different reasons. So, find what is soothing for you at the moment. Some of us find soothing by getting a deep stretch, but feel what is the best offer for your knee joint. And let's take another about 10 seconds here. So a good 45-second hold. Feel the looseness of your breath now with the bolster this way across the back. It's a little easier on breath. Okay, now slide that left foot, bring it back to the chair seat for all of us. Uncross, left foot crosses now over to right knee. And as that motion occurs in the left knee joint, maybe you move it a little bit back and forth towards your ribs, away, and then adjust into the shape, or maybe you do all three shapes. Maybe you like to slide your leg onto the chair and then draw the knee in. If there's a deep, like, pulling sensation, like it's getting sewn together right on the side of that left knee, you want to avoid that getting tighter. So you can find other options, right? So I'm trying to still, work with all good work on the knee, supporting the knee joint, the circulation around the connective tissue around that leg, around both legs, even if one leg has more issues than the other, still honoring supportive poses. And then feel when you're drawing that leg in, or if it's away, right? If the foot is on the chair, you can let the left knee kind of swing a little bit out. It's similar to that pose we did with the feet together, knees out, but we're going one branch at a time. Okay. So far, so good. So start to come into a release of this shape. We're going to actually remove the bolster. So let's see how we go there. So uncross the left foot, step both feet on the chair edge, and depending on all your props around you, you're going to lift the hips and slide the bolster off to the side. And I want you to try reaching your hands down towards the chair. Now, I know you're not going to hold the feet of the chair. This is a version where you eventually learn that kind of skill. It's not that exactly how we're doing it with where the chair is right now, but where you would hold the feet and really get up on your shoulders. But I want you to work with lifting your hips in a full bridge. This is really a bridge shoulder stand. Reaching your hands together, interlace your fingers. And first things first, you have that grip of the fingers. That's like it for many of us. Second, roll the shoulders down and under towards the spine. So that's a fuller bridge. And just stay with that. Okay, give it about 6 more breaths. We try to keep the circulation strong in the hips. Avoid turning your head side to side. It's pretty critical you keep the neck just simply elongating, just like this. Feel where the hands are interlacing. Feel where the shoulders are trying to find balance. It's not easy. It's not an easy one to maintain. Okay, now can you let go of the clasp of the hands? Bring the hands up to your side of your hips. Okay, so they try to give it a little boost, like keeping the lift. Okay, noticing where the balance of strength is. Is it up in your back? Is it in your legs, your glutes? Probably a little bit in the buttock area, into the side of the buttocks, up into the glute. Okay, now relax the glutes. Let the hands lower to the floor, palms down, and then go slow, massaging between the vertebrae. And if you kind of like that, if it feels sort of good, what you might do before we get to sit up is you might take a ball under the back of one of the buttocks at a time and do a little bit of massage into that area so you can drop the weight into the ball. And you could do it even with the lower back. You could have the ball so it's around a little bit above the tailbone and massage a little side to side. So it doesn't have to be glued. But give yourself just a few moments to massage a bit into that lower back area. Or maybe you go with the glutes and you put the ball to the side of the buttock and you massage into the hip area too. So take a few moments. And even if one side is your focus, because that has some tender spots, then stay with that. And feeling when you get that circulation through the touch and the body weight into the ball And that movement, it's both movement, it's actually the weight and then movement, right? It's one before the next. Okay. All right, now pressing into your feet, lower the hips down. I want you to be careful when you come up here. You're going to bring the knees to your chest and then easy roll to the side. And even if you like extra credit, roll to the side to come up today. And then as you sit upright, let's take a blanket in next to the, well, close to the chair. Slide in your blanket. If you've got a big fold, well, actually, what do I mean by that? But it's pretty flat. It's not folded up. Slide it in and have it so your whole seat can be on it. All parts of your tush, even the leg matter. Okay, now face to the chair, to the wall, and move the feet straight to the wall. You can see me okay, yes, even though it's a little dark. We're okay? All right, thank you for it. Okay, so take the feet towards the wall. If you can touch the wall, perfect, right? You want to be able to touch not just the back of the chair, but the wall itself. So this gives you some alignment pattern for the back muscles, although I can't say this is the most comfortable. Touch the chair. If you're short, this is a little more challenging for me to try to sit up, but touch and kind of push up. This always reminds me of balance beam work. I know we're not gymnasts and doing balance beam work, but it's that touch of the beam, right? And then the spine extends and the chest lifts and there's an arch. It's like the beginning of that shape. It's a common thing you'll see. Okay, so turn left, bring the left foot to the right inner thigh and hands on the ground and then push back into your hips. So you're actually kind of spinning the hips towards the left and back. So the right foot, if you look under, toes are up. Your heel is at the base, but toes go straight up. Okay. Sand, now that you're twisting left to right, sand on left side. If the left knee needs something under it, just put a ball. And then we'll take a reach onto the chair. So feel that you're distant enough with the stretch of a leg. So that's the only amount of distance you get from the wall, just the leg length. And then as you reach up to the chair, if it's too high, you can have another blanket under your seat. That's a good option. But feel that you're reaching and not really holding back by holding your head. So for today, I want you to try to work on this reach. Now, it's not like I push and lift my chest straight up. I'm trying to get my side. Like when you do side sage, you're getting the side to reach. Okay? So instead of getting relaxed into it, I want you to try to keep that focus on extending out of the waist. Okay? Reach the left arm back. Try to keep it into the air so you can stretch through the fingers. Okay, now if your right hand reaches to the wall, that's fine. You could touch the wall for some of us. Some of us it's not going to happen. And then left arm behind you. So the arm is going to reach to the floor. And you'll lift and bring the right hand to the left knee and then rotate. And see if you can move from the rib region. So as I inhale, filter the air in through the nose. Notice there's a little movement in the ribs. And see if you can manage that rotation. Okay, now if it's grippy, like your right hand is pulling and it's pulling right up into the shoulder, see if you can soften a bit into the awareness of your sitting bones. And then feel that inner lift with the breath. It's really tricky to find the right amount of nervous system response to these poses. How much should I rally up my energy sources and how much should I settle? Okay, so when you turn back towards the chair, I want you to take that right foot, scoot it in so you're in more of a cross-legged position, turning to the chair. So you're seated in Sukhasana, so that would mean simple cross-legged, right foot forward to left, put the sand on the right thigh, reach onto the chair, and you decide, right? You can hold the arms of the chair. I think this is good because I have my elbows up on the seat, holding the arms, and I'm reaching. If there's any bit of pulling in my knee, I can put a ball underneath. I can use a block and or a ball. And I reach with extending the spine. So I'm trying to create that mild arch. Sitting bones centered. If you're really tired, right, you could bring your hands into a little hold, little pillow for your forehead. Kind of a nice stretch, or you could stay here and let your forehead tilt a little bit. Okay, certainly the movement of the ribs is important here, but also just the awareness of sitting and centering. So if the awareness of the ribs kind of moves aside, come back to a deep breath and an exhalation. And then slide the hands to the edge of the chair, and I want you to take the second side. So what you'll do is let the left leg stretch straight to the wall. And if you use the ball under the right knee, that would be fine as well. But when you turn to the right side, left foot pushes. This is key, is that you have the left leg reaching, okay? So the right leg already has a sandbag on it, and you turn to the right and reach up to the chair and work on that extending motion out of the waistline. So if this feels too low, if I take the blanket and fold it up higher or put another blanket under, it might be helpful for some of us. If you feel like it's a little bit of work just to sit up tall, I would keep with the blanket low. But if you can't get your arm on the chair, that's not going to work, right? So you need to have your arm on the chair for this one. Some of you might be able to tilt the chair a little bit and hold the back bar of it. Just be careful you don't put the hand into the wall, right? If you do get back forward to the wall. So you have to have a little caution there. But I honestly know I don't have enough length to do that position. So this is where I'm at. So the arm is reaching on both sides of the chest. Yeah, it's a great thing, right? You've got the arm, the extensions out of your breathing muscles. And if you study any, in Chinese medicine, right, these meridians for the heart and the lung come from the fingers, right, into the heart. And then the lung, right? So the heart is the inside of the hand. So is the outside is towards the other forces. But when you have that reach with the right arm, you could have your arm behind you. Go with the range in the waist. And give it a few moments here. Breathing. And get a feel for how that left foot pushes into the wall, how the waist stretches. Okay, now before you come upright, really work on visualizing, and that could be what you do, is reaching to the wall. Doesn't mean you have to effort more. Just that reach to the wall. Okay, now when you let that right arm come back, hand down, left hand to right knee, turn the waist to the right. So you're turning towards the back. You might surprise yourself, the range of motion that you have on this one. It could be quite surprising. So when you push into that left foot, that's exactly what we want to work with into the leg muscles, up into the hip, into the ribs. Breathing. And then let go of the grips of the hands, turn to the wall, left foot scoots across underneath the chair. So you're in a simple cross-legged position, and place the sand on the left thigh. So if you're not really sure what this orientation, I'll just shift back and leave the blanket where it's at. But I have that left foot cross forward. So some might call this more of a seated cross-legged box pose. So you have this angle with the knees, and if you need something under your knee and it's really going high up and it's triggering hip tension, then you put the ball or blocks under the legs, and then you have something to settle into. And if that doesn't work, you can also use something even softer than that. You could use a blanket or a towel, right? Something a little more cushiony under the legs themselves. So I recommend, if you do have a bit of stiffness into the hips, to do seated cross-legged pose. Do it regularly, sit on a lot of height, and have stuff under the legs so that you can lean forward, especially with a chair is nice, because then you're not rounding your back as much. You might have a little bit of flexion, but you're not, collapsing and sagging right in the front, right? You're not able to do that. So not a lot of slouching position. So find where the spine has some integrity in the shape. So feel the weight into your sitting bones. Make sure that sandbag's on the left leg. And then as you reach forward, you might hold the arms of the chair. You might have the palms down, but manage that reach through the waist. And feel where your head bows towards the chair for some of us. Some of us will keep it up and feel enough support with the arms that our neck isn't tired. That's partially true. The arms support that. With a few more cycles of breath, feel where the mid body is focused. We're going to be moving to hands and knees next. So I want you to feel what's kind of easeful about seated shapes. Your expectation is it's sort of simple. It's very obvious what we do when we're in seated shapes. Okay. Now when we change and slide the hands back on the chair seat, taking the sand away, let's have our blocks besides our mat. Okay, it could be kind of far behind you. So when we get around, it'll change. Then you'll have your body to turn away from the chair. So just flip to the other side. Take your blanket so it's not so big on the mat. You're going to turn, if you happen to have these fringe ends, they're probably towards the chair. Okay, so let's take a kneeling shape. This is more of a crawl shape. So I lean forward into my hands, and I stretch forward all the way into my back. So let the hands creep forward, stretch your chest, let your forehead touch down. If your tush touches the chair seat, it probably won't be anything harmful. It might even feel centering, but work on that reach of the back. Forehead touches down. Okay, now slide the hands back one at a time and round the back. Chin to chest, cat pose. Inhale, arch the spine. Okay, alternate the motion of the spine curve. Okay, even though when you reach forward with your arching spine, it feels like a different style of curving. I want you to just work on this movement fluctuation in the back. And then can you try letting the hands stretch out a little wider so they're right at the edge of the mat, toes under. Be careful of the chair seat. It might be a little close, but it's kind of nice to have a feeling of it. When you lift up the knees, stretch back so that you're feeling that reach of the lower legs into the heels. Okay, besides the emphasis of the hips up, right? That's the biggest part. The sitting bones lifting. It's a blend of the arch and the arching and the rounding of the back. Arching and flexing, right? You're doing a little bit of both, but more extension. Okay. And then as you lower down the knees, let's step the right foot forward. I think blocks are going to be helpful to have under your hands for this. So if the knees are, if your hips distance before you step forward, I think that's a little harmful on the pelvic balance, but you could bring the legs close as they could go and then step forward. You could kind of analyze the gait on this one, the movement of the hip. So as you slide the weight into this low lunge, very deep stretch for the left hip flexors. Front of the leg, try to let the back foot, the toes relax so that you can a little more easily stretch to the front of that left thigh and feel the natural arch through the spine. Feel the hands press, feel the lift of the chest. Okay, try to stay with this by coming up higher on the blocks if you're not already there. So we'll take the blocks up at the next setting, the highest you can. And those of you that are taller might find that you feel like you want a little more height into your hands. But this is kind of perfect for me to get the hip flexor stretch. Okay, a little caution that you work on the leg stretching versus too much of the spine. So really work with the feeling in the front foot pressing down. Okay, and then come back to reverse lunge. So the toes lift up on the front foot, the right foot, I think, for most of us. And the blocks can go low. You can go without them. I like them because it gives me like a specific surface to balance my arm roots on, my hands. Now, it doesn't mean that that's for everybody. Some of us, if you have wrist pain from this type of thing, some will work better with a fist on the ground. You know, you just never know what's going on with the wrists and the fingers and so forth. I've seen this taught with the fingers turning the other direction. I'm not so sure I want my wrist to stretch that way. It's probably helpful, but I'm good with kind of the basics. Just the hands on the block. I'll stay with that. Okay. So I learned it in kindergarten. It must be good. All right, so the right foot flexes. Oh, just giving it a little bit of go. Flex me. Pull my back. Okay, now you know this type of flexion feels different when your foot is pressing the ground. It's kind of peculiar, but you still have the same angle, right? You're going to step forward and take the blocks to the second setting. Step the left foot, toes under, to the right foot, and just stay for a moment with the blocks beside your feet, your knees bending. This is key, knees bending. Even if you're so excited to stretch it all out, bend the knees. Use that strength into the back of the legs, the upper legs. Hold on to that. Use the leg position into the digestive tract, right into the colon. Use that little bit of pressure there. Breathing. Okay, right foot steps back, big step, and then lower down the knee. Okay, now as you work your way into that stretch of the front leg behind your right quad. Okay, remember the blocks can go as high as you want, and if this is just too small of a height for you, I suppose you could put your hands onto the leg. Some people teach this with the hands back on the chair seat, and there's all kinds of versions of this you can work with. And I'm just a little apprehensive about too much knee direct pressure down onto it, right? So if I go back here, you know, just trying to be as cautious as I can. So as I lean forward, I find that stretch in the right thigh is really good. So keep the balance of breath. Notice if you're even focused on the breath at all when you do these challenging poses. Yeah, so that left foot is forward, the right thigh is back if possible. Okay, manage that full stretch to the front of the back thigh. Feel out all these arches in the body, not just the spine, but the legs. And then as you press into your hands, now pushing back into reverse lunge, it's the part of it is the hand pushing, not so much digging into your knee. So when you lean back, that doesn't sound good anyway, does it? Use the hands somehow. See if you can have the hands at a height that works for you. So if this low height just makes you frustrated because it's digging more into your knee or it's just too much flexibility to manage, you could have your blocks higher. You just keep bringing, you can move them all the way up and that might be your best option. It's like having a longer arm, just moving the floor up to you. So flex the left foot so the toes stretch back. I know one side can feel different than the other. It might be a dramatic experience into some of the layers of the calf. You know, if one side's kind of dull, you know, notice if you have to, you know, move the toes back further, the ball of the foot, press into that. You want to find that you're managing the circulation well. Breathing. Okay, now let's stride ourselves back to the lunge, and then we'll turn to the right. So we'll hook the toes under right foot, lift up the back knee, turn the feet to the right side of your mat, and turn the body so the blocks are with your hands to the right. So I'm going to scoot back so that my right leg is touching the leg of the chair. I like that boundary because then I know where my limit is. And you might feel when you lean into this that it's a bit of a struggle for your circulation. So you can have your blocks up. You could also get rid of the blocks and have the hands on the ground and then stretch your arms way forward like a wide downward facing dog. And the head is between the arms. And the feel is that reach of the back muscles, your lats. Oh, it's a great extension right out of the back. So feel this version. Try to work with the stretch, the range, the reach versus the hands besides the feet, which is one we've done before. But work with a full band of the full bandwidth here of the legs and the arms. Okay, you're going to want this memory in the body when we try half moon today. So feel that range. I know, and some of us might be head down to the blanket. If you're pretty close, you could bring the blanket height up. You could roll it and then bring your head down to it. If you're not that close, but you're almost there, I would just let your head be, just let it hang. I wouldn't focus on trying to force your head to the floor. Okay, now hands walk back towards the feet. And if you have the blanket still there, slide it, let's see, take it away. Yeah, take the blanket away. Turn to your chair seat with your hands on it and carefully turn the right foot towards the wall and the back foot as well. Okay, so let's work with this. Let's move our blocks. So you have a block at the foot of each chair so it's tilted up, right? It's like tilted, the foot of the chair, tilted up. Okay, right foot steps up to the, well, if you're looking at the wall, to the right side for your right foot. Step it to the edge of that block. So if you can't really tell, you can see I've got the block at the foot, and then I have my foot stepped up into it like that. You don't need to put it up on your chair seat, but it would be a little bit of a journey, huh? But have your foot up, left foot steps back. You manage that step with the back foot. You know, feel if you can reach into both calves a bit. Ooh, our calves are getting a stretch. So you could have your elbows down if you want more stretch. You can have your hands pressing and lifting. Okay, switch sides, bring the right foot back, lean forward into up dog, stretch the torso, inhale, and exhale back. Left foot steps to the block. Make sure It's definitely anchored to that part of the chair. It's a little wild and crazy here. Yeah, if the back of that left knee feels kind of blown out here, you might have to walk the right foot a little bit out to the right side, as long as the foot is still, toes are towards the wall, foot is parallel. Okay. The idea is that we're stretching our calves here. That hasn't come across. Okay, now feel where that weight is into your extremities. All extremities are awake. And then just step the left foot back and lift your heels. Hands are pressing into the seat. Lower the heels down. Stretch the back muscles. Head between the arms. Or your feet right across from each other. You notice that they should be stepped right beside each other, a little bit of distance between. Okay. Now we'll step the right foot. Now feel like when you step, it's like you're going to take a stroll. So you step the right foot in the center towards the chair. I don't want you to step under the chair seat, but towards the chair with the right foot. And then you'll lift the left leg up. Okay. So reach with that left foot up in the air. So you're balancing on the right leg. Make sure the right foot is pressing down. You could bend your knee. You could bend both knees if you feel like it. But you are working up into the right hip. Okay, step the left foot back and down through the heel. Step the right foot under the chair seat on the floor. Don't stick your foot on the chair seat. Left hand presses or elbow and turn to the right. Try to keep the inside of the right foot pressing down. This one's a little challenging, huh? Revolve triangle. So both feet are parallel. Tricky. You could have your feet in a wider stance in case you can't get the parallel. And then as you turn, your work is on reaching up with that right arm, rotating the waist. Okay, right arm stretches back. Turn the chest. Stay grounded, don't fall over. Okay, lower the right hand down and then take a break between. So we'll step the feet back. We'll lower the elbows onto the chair seat and we'll breathe. Okay, so take a little bit of a recess here. But as you are here, you might lean your weight into your elbows and let the spine drain out. Okay, and the knees could bend to ease the hips because they get a little workout. Okay, now let's stand up. So we'll slide the hands up the chair to your thighs and then stand up, reach both arms wide. You can see 75% of me, I'm sure. Bring the arms straight up, palms touch, and arms out to the sides in mountain pose. So the arms are resting by the sides of the waist. Okay, now step the right foot back, left foot forward. Different way to come into this side. I want you to reach your hands down, and then as you lift up that right leg, yeah, I feel like I need to be farther back. I want to be sure that I can use the chair for balance. So I step into the left foot, my right leg swings back and up, and I'm not concerned about turning my right hip open towards the side. I'm just balancing the right leg up. That's it. So you crank into the hip a bit, don't you? The left hip. Okay, feel if you can lift up your left heel a bit. I know, hip traffic, huh? You can feel it. Hip congestion. Step the right foot back, toe, ball, heel. Slide the left foot forward under the chair so the feet are still parallel, or toes are forward. But the challenge might be the back foot might try to turn out. So your work is on managing that circulation in the legs. So you could step them a little apart. And then the left arm turns the waist to the left and lifts the left arm up and rotates into revolving triangle. Okay, even if you can't find the triangle right now in your inside focus, feel the rotation. Your left arm could go behind your back. You could turn to the waist. Good effort. So breathing, feel rotation. Maybe close your eyes for just a mini moment to feel where your balance is and isn't into your legs. Good work. So as we shift back down, turn the waist back on down. I want you to let the hands press. And then as we reach the heel back on that right leg, then step the left foot back, have the hands grip the sides of the chair, walk the feet back together, close as they'll go, not stepping on each other, but close together. And then lean forward into that swoop of the spine, right? So it's a full up dog, reaching with the hands on the sides of the chair. Inhale. And exhale, come back to plank. So you're not quite pushing your rear way back, but you're holding the balance. And then reach the spine and the sides of the muscles in the arms and the waist to stretch into chair dog. Let your head be motioning down between the arms. Okay, bend the knees and kind of let your hips move just a little side to side so you can feel how holding something and then moving your hips really does nicely stretch the torso. Okay, give it a few more moments of that management of reach through the waist into the hips. Okay, walk the feet to the chair, and then let's move the chair. So we'll turn it, and it will be kind of in the middle of your mat. So I'm going to turn so the back of the chair is facing to you. You don't have to have that, but what will help you to see me in doing the seated twist is the back bar, I think. We'll find out. So I want you to sit so your left hip is to that side of the chair, and you're going to sit down to the side, on the side of the chair, and let's see how this will balance for us. Sit so that you've got, I think everyone has a ball. Place the ball between the knees. Okay, so you're sitting off to the side of the chair. You're not sitting in front of the chair with the chair seat fully. You're on the side. So the bar of the chair, the back of the chair, is to your left side. Okay, so yeah, this is one where nobody really feels like they're sitting on the chair exactly. You're kind of a little uneven on your sitting bones. It's not exactly perfect. Okay, so have the balance so this left leg pushes against the bar of the chair for this type of chair. And so one of you has a chair that this might be really a good pose for. You don't have this bar jabbing into your leg. Okay, now the ball is just the spacer. I don't want you to try to smush it. You might feel there's a little interaction with the legs into the ball when you twist. Okay, the knees need to be right across. They're not going to slant or twist. Okay, and then you'll take the left arm to reach to the back of the chair, and you'll try to swing it around. And this knee situation is kind of serious. You want to make sure they're not shifting. There's no gears on these legs. Left hand comes to the back of the chair. Right hand. And so both hands are on the chair, and I'm going to hold on to it. So if you've got like a wood back to your chair, that works fine. You're just grabbing a hold of the back of the chair. Not a big difference. This is nice because it's just a bar. But I want you to pull and keep an eye on those knees. You want them to twist around or to shift their balance. So if your feet slide away from balance, that's a problem too. Pull with the right hand, push with the left. The whole time. Pull with the right, push with the left. And then feel if your waist can turn. All right, now if you're leaning back, this is an exaggeration here, I know. No, we don't want that. You want to stay upright. And you might close your eyes, you might tilt your ear to the shoulder. But feel the pulling and pushing. Okay, we don't want to push into the ball, right? So it's just merely a spacer to keep the knees in alignment. Okay, now try this. Your right hand holds the chair. So whether you're on the side of a chair gripping it or you're gripping over the bar, you'll let the left arm stretch back. Yeah, I know I'm not mirroring exactly what you're doing, but I'm keeping the cues right with the sides. Hopefully it's somewhat doable. So left arm stretches back. Okay, so when you pull, yeah, it might sound like I can't go further with my ribs, but the left arm is reaching out of that side of the back. The shoulder certainly feels it. Okay, left arm, reach it to the right, and then give yourself a hug first. So reach both hands around to the shoulders, turn to the right, adjust with your breath so your back is healing right from the twist, the work that happens. Intertwine the arms and lift the elbows up. So if you're confused, you're reaching your left arm over the right, hugging yourself. And you hook the elbows, hands lift up off the shoulders. Reach the right arm around the left arm like a snake. So as you lift up the elbows, it's actually called eagle pose. It might be confusing. You might think it's snake pose, but it's eagle pose. So you lift the elbows up. Okay, now lower down the elbows. Give yourself a hug to come out. Reach around. Okay, shoulders rolling. And then center them back. Heart up. Okay, take the ball, you'll keep a hold of it. So now you'll scoot to the other side. So turn yourself to the other side of the chair. Feet have to step themselves. I suppose the ball is, even if I had like a block between my feet would be good too. I just want you to try to keep it so that there's a space or there's a reminder. You know, one side I can tell that the knee is going to try to pull back, the leg closest to the chair is going to try to slide back so I don't have to work as much in my waist. I mean, my knee doesn't know that, but you know, it's always trying to make it easier, I'm sure. So when you're here, another way to do this would be to put a sandbag on your lap. If you've got a big enough sandbag, it could be on your lap, and then you wouldn't really want to twist your legs because it would fall off. So these little hints. Okay, now when you take the right hand back on the chair, you're getting that stretch in the ribs. Okay, so first get adjusted with the shoulder. Let the shoulder muscles get adjusted to stretching back, the chest on this collarbone open. Turn. Okay, watch the knees. You don't have to stare at them, but be sure. And left hand holds the back of the chair too. And then we push and we pull. It's our last chair pose before we go on our back. So give it a little bit of something. So push with the right hand, pull with the left. Yeah, you're better off, let's say your feet just can't organize, one scatters out. You're better off pulling your feet closer to you than feeling like they just can't manage it. And if you need to squeeze into the ball and that helps your alignment, that's okay. I just don't want you to squeeze so much that you're tightening your back, because that would mean you're gripping and compressing. I mean, it could be, maybe not for sure, but push to the right hand, pull with the left, and then heart center. If it's restricted turning, it's okay. I mean, I don't want you to do anything that's out of the science of your structure. So you'll get a feeling of rotation, and it might be kind of minimal. You're not an owl, so it's not going to be something wild and crazy with the twist, but feel where the center of gravity is in the pelvis. Okay, with the right arm stretched back, feel the reach, and then bring it forward. Now the left hand on the chair, I think this is actually helpful. I didn't notice this last time at all because I took it off the chair right away. But when you reach your right arm around to give your left side a hug, and then the left hand around, it's a pretty good stretch of my back. Yeah, I don't think about doing this that often, but it's good. if I can sit upright, and then hook the elbows, intertwine the arms, lift the elbows up. And manage that balance in the hips, center the spine, breathe. Okay, now feel where the ribs move with the breath. Okay, lower the elbows, give yourself a hug one more time. Opposites. And then keep the heart lifted as your arms release down. Okay, move the ball. We'll still use it in the end. So drop the ball close by, and then use your feet and the balance and the leg muscles. Pull the feet closer to the chair, lean forward, and then sit up and lift up. And let's take actually, we'll put the chair at the back because you might use it for this pose, I suppose. All right, take a seat on down and get the bolster. Place it in the middle, across. Have a block nearby. I don't know if we'll use it yet. And your blankets are on the other side of the bolster. This is kind of a good experience. We got all these types of practice in this lesson. I think this is good stuff. So now you get this stuff in, this flushing. Okay, we're gonna go side first. We're gonna be on the side first off on this one. So let's see, last pose we did, we turned right. So now we're going to the left. So it's working out scientifically here. You might need the ball for your knee. So I want you to lean into the left side and you'll stretch the right leg back and you'll put the ball, if you're using a ball or a block, on the inside of the right leg. I found some people really prefer the block on this one for some reason. They'll put it below the knee on the inside. So you choose, okay, ball or block. And then lean into that left side. And before you get too far down into your props, get a sandbag and place it onto the side. And then stretch the right arm over. Okay, so get the motion of, finally, you can do some weight on the body. All the poses up to now have been weight bearing and resistance stepping into our feet. So feel that reach with the right arm. Let the hand relax on the chair. Okay, you don't have to use the chair for this if you decide not to have the arm overhead. It could be moving a little bit during this time. Could be on the side of your body or on the bolster. You know, people kind of vary what they like to do with this approach, upper limb. Okay, but settle the weight of your body and relax your eyes. And feel where there's movement collected in the ribs with your breath. Yeah, let the final part of the practice be pretty quenching and hydrating today. If you have any coolness in the body, you can always put on some socks or anything so that you can really soak up this phase of the class. So it should be comforting. And when you feel the movement of breath, the alternate exhalation motion is grounding. And take a final few moments where you're working with this right side reaching. Now, even if the arm is down, I'm still working on feeling this side stretching. Head relaxes into the blankets. That could be the most challenging piece, huh? Is honestly letting your head go. Breathing. Exhaling. Okay, now lower the arm. We're going to take horizontal chest opener. So simply we'll use the block to add on here. So when you roll left and then you push gently to come around to your back, I want you to kind of lean the body weight back into the bolster. But first things first, if you're really close to the wall, you might want to use the wall for this one. So you might have to kind of push things a little bit around. We'll see. I think I'm already fine, but with this shape, but we'll find out. So I'm going to lift up. I'm going to have a block. It's better that you're sort of close-ish because you can always push yourself back. If you're not close enough, it's hard to get to the wall after the fact, huh? But when you lower back, now this is too much comfort here. I let my head lower back into the blankets and my back pelvis is on the block. Okay, so the block is flat underneath me, right next to my bolster. And it's actually not perfectly next to it. So that would be helpful is if I have that as kind of, it's like an extension of the bolster. That would be a nice bolster to have a little bit of that. You could just push the button in it. But the bolsters haven't changed. Every yoga prop has stayed the same. Nothing has made them different, I don't think, over the years. That's kind of nice. So stretch the chest open. Push into your feet. Now, if your feet are not touching a wall, that's okay. It's not the end of the pose, but it is the end of the pose in a way because the feet touch into it. That's the base of your body. And it's nice to orient your feet in a different way than standing on them and to feel into the soles of them and noticing, how your body weight directionally, how you put into your feet. Breathing slow. Exhaling. See if you can emphasize the exhale, maybe pushing into your feet. The exhalation centers you back and down in the belly, pressing into your feet. Relax the fingers, slide the feet in, and then move the sand, and we'll take that side stage on the other hip. So we just keep our props similar under us besides the block moves. And this can be kind of fun to roll into from this shape. So once the block is gone, I have a little bit of kind of hanging out with that area of the body is kind of waiting to go somewhere. So I can move my hips a little side to side like you're wagging your tail, and then find a way to wag left. This left side of the waist is going to get the stretch. So I'm going to roll to my right waist, let the rolling stretch myself out. So it's probably true rolling around on the parts gives you a little stretch. It gives you some massage. So the ball could go the inside of the left leg. But now that you're kind of calming down, you can kind of feel that from all the standing work to now. It's kind of settling. So feel the waist reach into the props. And then that left arm stretches up onto the chair. It might be useful for you feeling the right knee deep bend. Let the weight of your head rest into the blankets. Breathing deeply, filling the lungs. Feel where the reach is with the upper limb, whether it's on the side or down onto the bolster or on the chair. Feel that the weight relaxes into the props, even if it's the hand on the chair. It's not easy to do this version. I know this is sometimes helpful to get that length in your side, but it can be tiring to work the muscles for that duration, a little bit of endurance. Okay, now lower the arm, and now we'll go right into the hip. So since this has been a little bit more upper waist into the upper limb here, and we're going to go across into the lower. So this branch has been kind of waiting. So lean right, roll, and then take your bolster and place it besides your mat on the right side. We've got a few more poses total. So I want us to get these 2 crossovers. Lay back on one blanket, just one, okay? So lower back, blanket's too close, but we'll get there. And then push the right foot into the wall and take the left leg over to the bolster. That should feel nice. Now, if the bolster's too far down, it happens. It's fairly common that this bolster's not high enough for people. You could add a blanket on top. Okay, if you find, it's just not high enough. Blanket goes up on top of the bolster, sandbag goes onto the outer left leg. It could be intense with the hip response, but feeling the balance of weight into the leg, left arm open. Okay, so let's give it about 1.5 minutes. So it won't be a long hold, but I want you to feel how the left side of the rib cage has to rotate in its upper division. So it's not like belly button down, that's turning right a little bit, but it's belly button up that turns. It's actually probably a good reference that we could use in our twist. So I never really have used that as a cue, I don't think, ever, for some reason. Okay, at least I feel like I'm just always learning something. So as the rotation goes, motions left, let your head turn left and feel if it can keep turning, keep stretching the neck. Breathing, hand could be on body to feel the body breathe, or it could be on the floor. Okay, roll back into center, slide the sand away, and move the ball if you were using that on the sacrum, knees into center, feel the feet down on the floor, and then move the props over to the other side. So if you did use that bulk of props, then you're going to shift it so that you've got your bolster stacked on that left side. And the blanket is fine, right? If it feels comfortable for you to use it, I would just use it. It's not like you're a lesser than poser. But using support is helpful. So the ball is at the sacrum and the sandbag onto the outer right thigh. Okay. Emphasize that you have a feeling of groundedness here in the middle. Okay. So when you shift your heart towards ceiling, belly button and up turns to right, let your head roll to the right side and feel where the waist turns. And the body weight is a little bit into that left hip bone, isn't it? And it's a stretch to the right side. So as you enter the pose, let the head turn right. I imagine you'll notice if you work with that kind of subtle discernment in your practice that one side of the neck really takes time to turn. There's something interesting about that, or maybe the side you sleep on just kind of easily rolls to the side, your neck muscles. But use the back position here to stretch out your neck. So head turns right, breathing slowly. Even if you know class is almost over, right? See if you, or your session time, see if you can stay with that slow breath anytime you can. Slow and deep. Okay, noticing where the leg is stretching, right? Part of the movement of the right leg is to guide the stretch into the hip. If you've got a bald sacrum, move it away and manage that reach with the right leg. See if you can slide the sand off to the side, push it towards the wall, and then roll left, head hopefully comes up last. You try the best that you can, slide up, and then you'll take a blanket to the center of your mat. If you're going to cover yourself with a blanket, this is a good time to get that so it's near your side. Okay, so today we'll do legs up. I know the other day we did kind of a mishmash of bolster bench, but today we'll do legs up the wall. It'll be our best because we started with that focus of the immune system with the circulation into the lymph nodes in the groin. So this is the same thing. So that circulation, when you swing the legs up, right, you're going to have your rear close to the wall. I'm also not on the side of the bolster as I could be. I do want to be as close to the side, obnoxiously so. And then, yeah, still could use some more direction up to the wall, but one of these days it'll be just perfect. Okay, so have the sand onto your feet. You got to add then bend of the knees to get that. If you don't want to put sand on your feet, it feels already enough and shaky, then what I would recommend that you do is put the sand maybe on the abdomen for the breathing. So you have a choice, sand on the feet, and that can also help the circulation back into the hips. And if you have that blanket, you can add that on your torso. If you've already got a sandbag there, will even more warmth. And then as you balance your shoulders, see if you can roll them back and in, and then rest the arms by your sides. But the arms are lower than the heart. Okay? So center the balance of the face, the neck, the shoulders back and down. And then once you've given those assignments, especially the shoulder one, then let go. Just surrender how you identify with instructions and feel your body's experience of breathing in the pose. That could be all your focus is the breathing while you're reversing the flow of gravity, not just to the heart and the lungs, but the soothing effect of this on the vital organs. So usually the organs, as you would understand, when you have your feet below you, everything kind of prolapse and drops down. And this is the opposite for the organs. They're not getting pulled with gravity's downward motion. So feel how the shoulders center back. Take a slow breath for a count of 4. through the nose, exhaling out, 5 counts. Feel the feet rest into the wall. And then I want you to shift the feet a little bit away from the wall. And then bend through your knees. And let the sand just slide off. You could drop it overhead. You could guide it across to the side. And then feel your feet just at the wall, the knees bending, and that nice stretch of the back of the pelvis, the natural arch for the hips. Okay? So you just roll to the side. Let your hands help bring you around so that you can sit up onto the bolster. And take a simple leg crossing so that your blanket is maybe over your legs. It gives you a little bit more grounding. The back concentration